one of the most useful things that structs are used for is databasing. You can see how basically what we just did follows the concept of what a database is. For instance, if you took a table in a database, you would have a record that consisted of a number of columns or fields, and basically that's exactly what we just did. Just we created one record. So now we're going to take this same concept and we're going to turn this into multiple records. So in essence, we're going to be creating a little mini database here. So now that since we have our other program up here, we just want to save it. So we'll do the good old file save all, and we're going to save this as structs. Cool. File, close solution. So let's do another file, new project, another empty project, and this is going to be structs. And we'll just do structs part 2, I guess. Like I said, these are all improvised, so I didn't think of anything clever to do. So let's do right click, add a new item, add a code file. We'll just call this main.cs again. Now we are back here. So in the interest of saving a few seconds of time, we'll go to our documents here. And we'll go to Visual Studio. We'll go to projects and structs. Go back into structs. Right click on main.cs, open it with, let's do Notepad, Control A, Control C, close it, come back over here, we'll minimize this, come back over to structs 2, Control V. So now we have that same exact project in here, except we're going to erase everything in the main method. So now we're back to this basic program where we have the struct name and the elements that reside inside of it. So inside the main function, we're going to do the following. All right, but first, we're going to do the exact same thing we did a second ago, but we're going to make it into a little mini database. So we're going to prompt the user, how many students would you like to add? The user is going to type in, 5, 10, however many students they want to add. Then we're going to create a loop that's going to allow the user to type in that many records. And then once it's done, we're going to clear the whole console screen, and then we'll print out onto the screen everything that they just typed in. Simple enough, right? So we're going to start off by prompting the user, console.writeLine. And we'll I goofed again, console.write, because we want this all to stay on the same line. Let's ask the user, how many students do you want to add? Alright, how many students do you want to add? And let's just move this over a little bit more. Perfect. And we'll do int, and then we'll just call this max. This is going to equal, remember now, it's going to come, we want it to be an integer, but it's going to come in as a string. So we'll start off with the int.parse. And inside the int.parse, console.readLine function. Awesome. So we're going to take in from the console, convert it to an integer. Let's make another instance of names, and we'll make it an array, and we'll call it n, just like before. This will equal a new instance of names and of size max. Perfect. Scroll down a little bit. Now we'll do for int I, int I equals 0, while I is less than max, I plus plus. So we're going to create a for loop that's going to run through as many times as we want it to. Inside the for loop, we're going to ask the user, and actually, let's save some time here. Let's go here back to structs, main.cs, open it with Notepad. We can, look at this, we'll find use for this. Let's copy all this code that we had before, and we'll put it inside the for loop. So we're going to ask student's name. And this is going to be n index I name. Just like an array, except for we're going to have the name of the data type, the index number, and then the element that we're going to edit. So then the student's social, so we'll do n index I, ss num. Keep moving down to student ID, I, Oops. I. And one more. I. Student's major. So it's going to run through, and actually, whoops, I goofed again. This console.WriteLine here at the end, Control X, get rid of that. So this program here is going to run through, and it should work fine. Let's do a Control F5 and do a little test here. How many students you want to add? We'll do 2 students. Student's name, and we'll just kind of make stuff up. Student ID, major, Alright, so we need to kind of have a little bit of a break in between these. Not a problem. So let's build ourselves a little heading right underneath the for loop. Console.WriteLine. Student number. Aha, look at this. And we're going to do student number I plus 1. Since we're starting the loop at 0, we want it to start at 1. And right before that, \n, \n, Control F5. Let's try this right now. How many students you want to add? 2. Student number 1. Student's name. Awesome. Student number 2. Gorgeous. So after I finish doing this, I've created 2 records in this little struct array database that we've done. So now that we have that done, let us create a function that will print it out. And by function, of course you all knew that I meant method. We'll come down here, we'll do console.clear to clear the console screen, and I'm going to scroll below the main method, and I'm going to create my separators because I love these things. It helps me keep my code nice and clean. And we'll do a public static void method, and this is going to be print. Whoops, and I made a little bit of a mistake here, but not a problem. Get rid of the semicolon. This is going to intake a names array, and we'll call this, I don't know, n. Again, doesn't really much matter. So we're going to be sending it a names array. And we're going to do for int I equals 0 while I is less than n dot, is there a dot size in here or length? Awesome. N dot length I plus plus. So basically what the n dot length is it's a variable stored inside this array that's part of the array class that stores the maximum amount of indexes in the array. So I don't really have to know what the maximum index number is. I could just use that. So it's perfectly dynamic. So once we get that, we're going to do a console write line. And I had it copied a second ago, but I'm going to copy this again and stick it right in here where it belongs. We're going to print index I. Let's be good programmers. Copy, paste, paste. Oh, perfect. And we'll even add an extra line break on this line. So this should print them all out on one line. So we'll do a Control F5. Let's practice with 2 students again. Alright, so my fault. I never actually called the function. So we'll clear the screen, print, and we'll send it n. Now let's do Control F5. Alright, this should be, whoops, we'll do 2 students. This should be the first good practice run. Awesome. Cool. So let's actually put some data in here so that we don't feel that lazy. We'll practice with 4 students. Student name. Wibbit. That's my student. Student social. Student's ID number. Student's major. Student 2. .NET. Computer security. Wibbit.net. Oh geez, who else does that leave? IO stream. And he'll be Networking. This is obviously an IT school. Networking. Then what we'll do links. Whoops. Yeah, through 4. Oh, geez, what's Link's gonna be? She's gonna be she's a hacker. She's hacking. And after this, check it out. We got Wibbit.net, IOStream, and Links. And she's a hacking major, whatever that is. Here's our little database. So code this a couple of times, play around with it, and we'll come back in the next one and do some more programming.